Today's episode of Variant is brought to you by Domain.com. Welcome to Variant One Shot. Late last night, while most of us were sleeping, director Zack Snyder tweeted the first official picture of Jason Momoa as Aquaman with the caption over it saying Unite the Seven. The caption could be alluding to uniting the 7 members of the Justice League or uniting the 7 Seas. I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. As for the costume, I think it looks pretty cool, and so does Jason Momoa. I don't think many people will be saying the costume looks terrible because in my opinion, I think it looks good. But with that said, the costume doesn't really have anything that screams Aquaman besides the trident and the A on his belt. I would have liked to see a little more green and orange thrown into the costume, since those are the colors we know Aquaman for. Now I understand, much like the Wonder Woman costume and all the other costumes DC is doing, they're going for a more gritty approach as opposed to Marvel's brighter one, and I think Marvel proved you can keep the costumes almost 100% accurate to the comics and still make them work in live action. But don't get me wrong, DC has stuck very close to the Superman costume, which is pretty much just an alternate version of the New 52 suit. And then of course you have the new Batman costume, which is basically just the Dark Knight Returns bat suit. And it's actually the first movie to have a black and gray bat suit just like the comics. Which means DC and Warner Brothers aren't scared to straight up adapt costumes from the comics, so why the drastic changes for the Aquaman costume with the tattoos, no blonde hair, and so on? I personally think it's to make him more acceptable by the general public, as the general public looks at him as a joke, even though as Aquaman fans know he's not. So taking a non-traditional approach to make him look more serious and realistic seems to be a way to get the people who aren't familiar with Aquaman to accept him easier. In summary, I do like the costume. I think it looks really cool. Do I still wish it looked more traditional like the comics and use orange and green and he had blonde hair? Of course I do. But at the same time, this is the only picture we've seen thus far, so it's still a little hard to judge. And again, the costume doesn't look bad by any means. It's just not what us comic book fans are used to. At least we know he has an awesome looking trident, cool fish scale looking armor, and the Aquaman A on his belt. Before I leave you guys, I want to thank the people who made this one shot possible, Domain.com, because no domain extension will help you tell your story like a .com or .net domain name. Domain.com is reliable, affordable, and easy to use. Save 15% off your .coms and .nets at Domain.com with the coupon code VARIANT, because when you think domain names, think Domain.com.